Hi, I'm Larry Micarenda, and welcome to Suffolk County Money Watch with Suffolk County Comptroller Joe Sawicki. 2012, Joe, brand new year. We're still cleaning up some financial statements and stuff from last year. Can you tell us, how did we do in 2011?
2011, since the last time we did the show and we were able to share with our viewers to bring them up to date, which I think was probably early fall, because I like to report to our taxpayers in Suffolk County. I like to report to them at least on a quarterly basis, just so they know how the money and the cash flow is going, how the expenses are going, how the budget's going. Just kind of like our show says, the Suffolk County Money Watch. Because I really feel our taxpayers, Suffolk taxpayers, they pay a lot of county taxes. Property taxes are pretty low in their property tax bill, but in terms of sales taxes and other taxes that are paid, we pay a chunk. And our taxpayers have a right to and deserve to know how their elected officials are doing in office. And that's where I come in as a controller. I enjoy reporting to our people, to our Suffolk residents. And in terms of ending 2011, since our last show, we had some pretty productive audits. One audit that I'd like to share with everyone is the audit we did of Empire Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And Empire Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the administrator for all of Suffolk County's employees and their retirees for their health insurance plan. And Suffolk County, out of a $2.7 billion budget, Suffolk spends about $300 million a year in health benefits for its nearly 12,000 employees, plus another, I believe it's like 7,000 or so retirees. So that $300 million is a big chunk of money, and I like to keep my eye on it to make sure that it's spent properly. Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield has been our administrator for about 5 years now. We conducted an audit going back to 05 to 08, and we found that Empire basically had a real good performance level in terms of percentage of claims that were proper. However, we did find that less than 1% of the claims that Empire processed for Suffolk County, again, as our health plan administrator, we found that less than 1% were erroneous. And it was not Empire's fault. It was a whole lot of different issues out there. Some employees were filing insurance claims and they shouldn't have got paid. So it's a big mix of things. But anyway, that 1% amounted to $952,000. $952,000 that Suffolk County got back from Empire. And Empire, I got to say, we were very pleased with Empire's performance. When they learned of these claims as a result of our audit, we hired an outside firm that specializes in healthcare claims. They stepped right up to the plate. They volunteered to give us the $952,000 back. So for the next 18 months, they are repaying or actually reducing their bill to Suffolk County government to recoup the whole $952,000. So that's a good thing. That's a thing we kept our eye on, and we're going to continue to keep our eye on how Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield spends our money. We're in the process now of conducting a follow-up audit. As I said, they've been in since 05. They started at the end of 05 through 08. And we are now updating the audit for 09 and 010, and we're going to continue to do the audit because there's some big money there. Whenever you can recoup, $500,000 to $1 million in an audit, that's big money. That's big taxpayers' money. We're also auditing the other side of the health care plan in Suffolk County is the prescription drug plan, and that's administered by Express Scripts. Part of the $300 million that we talk about is not all Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Right.
There's about $80 million of it, $75 or $80 million of it is for prescription drugs. If you remember, several years ago, we did an audit on Express Scripts, and we got back like $850,000 from Express Scripts.
Right.
So we're doing a follow-up audit with them now to make sure that they've been processing our prescription drug plan and its benefits the same, and that they're not, that Suffolk County and its taxpayers are being billed the right amount of money. So again, that's an ongoing audit that we'll continue to do as well. But again, it's big money out there.
And again, talking about big money and audits, last time we left off, you were just going to get into some numbers back from a Verizon audit, I believe, that was going on?
Correct, yes. One of our shows earlier, probably, I want to guess maybe 2 years ago, Larry, we started talking about how we wanted to audit Suffolk County's phone bills and phone lines. And Verizon has paid actually over $7 million a year in the county, and that encompasses Suffolk's emergency system, the 911 system. It's naturally all the county's phone lines, some of Verizon wireless bills as well. And when we hired another outside firm because you need, when you talk about telecommunications,
Right.
it's not financial auditing. It's really when you want to see if Verizon is billing us for such complex issues as mileage calculations across the lines. I mean, it's really hard for a financial auditor like myself and any of our auditors on our staff to understand. So you hire a company that specializes in that. And that's all they do. They do it across the state and they do it across the country. The good thing is that the company that we hired to do Verizon is called Phone Review, Inc. They're out of Mineola. They did a great job for us. They don't cost the taxpayers $1. What they do is, with our arrangement and our contractual arrangement with Phone Review out of Mineola, is that they get a percentage, and I believe it's like 30% of what they find. So that's really an incentive to them to really do an extensive
To
job
find a lot, to make a
auditing
lot, right.
our phone bills. So as a result of a 5-year audit, we just finalized the numbers at the end of December, and they have recouped from Verizon over $1.65 million for Suffolk County and its residents.
Wow.
We're already realizing that as a reduction from Verizon onto our phone bills, monthly phone bills, and it's good stuff. It's about 1.3 million of the 1.6 million relates to the emergency 911 system, and that's run through the Suffolk County Police Department, and that's a very, very highly technical, again, billing system with mileage calculations. I really don't understand how they bill for the lines going back and forth from Yaphank out to the East End for the 911 calls and all that. But basically, there was another $325,000 that we found that they were billing Suffolk County, our regular offices, county offices, for circuits that weren't found, circuits that weren't working.
Right.
So it was good we kept on top of Verizon, and we're going to renew the contract with Phone Review. Again, they did a splendid job, and we want them to keep on top of Verizon for 2011 and 2012. That order ended in 2010. It was just released again in December. So it's important that we maintain this oversight, this fiscal oversight, if you will, of Verizon, of Blue Cross Blue Shield, of any agency or any contract consultant that does business with Suffolk County and are paid with Suffolk County taxpayers' money. One other thing that I just forgot to mention, that with Verizon, not only did we save $1.65 million, or actually get back $1.65 million, Phone Review helped us identify $30,000 a month going forward in billing issues that are not part of the $1.6 million. It's in addition, so we are saving $30,000 a month on top of that. So that was a good find. That was a good find, hiring a technical company like Phone Review to help us manage Suffolk County's telecommunications issues.
And the thing is, Joe, and we've said it before, I mean, now you combine all this between the Verizon, and the Blue Cross Blue Shield, the $3 million back to the county legislature they can allocate for other programs, so maybe you don't have to dip into the rainy day fund,
Absolutely.
raise taxes, or do other things.
With the county budget as delicate as it is right now, and there's all kinds of innuendos out there that the budget is going to have some real serious problems, and they're not only innuendos; it's real. It's factually correct that the county's budget is going to be is probably greater than $135 million out of whack between the end of 2011 and 2012. And then we'll talk a little bit later about our new county executive and how he's tackling that. Right. But I mean, it gets to the point where every penny, every dollar, even though it's a $2.7 billion budget, every $1 million, every $1,000 out there, counts in this day and age.
And we had spoke a little bit, and I don't know if you got the numbers yet, but you said our sales tax revenues that we did last year were slightly better than the year before. Did you finally get a final number on that yet?
We in talking cash collections, and we're still waiting for February's numbers to come in. What happens is we get payments. The counties across the state get payments from Albany, from New York State Taxation and Finance, after the fact. So we're still waiting for some holiday numbers to come in from December, from some holiday sales tax numbers. We'll get them in February. But if you compare what was paid to us in cash in 2010 versus 2011, we are up a little bit. We're up about $45 million. That $45 million, while it sounds like a lot of money, you have to compare it to the fact that the total sales tax that we received in 2011 is over $1.15 billion. $1.15 billion. So when we're up $45 million, to you and I, $45 million is a lot of money, but in the scheme of things, it's a slight increase. It's good for the budget. It's good for the county. It's it's going in the right direction up as opposed to down like we experienced
Yeah, so it's
several
not
years
bad
ago.
news, but it's not great news either.
Exactly. So, what really counts, though, is what was in the budget. What did the legislature and the county executive budget for sales tax? And we won't know those numbers until another month or two now. Did the actual sales tax collections, did they actually come in as high as the what they were pegged at in the county's budget? That's all makes all the difference in the world.
And one thing, Joe, is we've gone over the health care, with Blue Cross Blue Shield, Verizon, and one of the big ones, and a favorite of yours that you've been waiting on for a while, is keeping the lights on in Suffolk County. Who do we go to but LIPA? Now,
yes.
Talk about an audit for LIPA. I mean, if you're being able to pull in money from Blue Cross Blue Shield and Verizon, is it possible that LIPA is maybe mischarged or some?
Well, sure, and I'm glad you brought that up, Larry, because we are in the process of, as I was talking about Blue Cross and Verizon, we are in the process of auditing LIPA as well. I know my counterpart over in Nassau County, George Maragos, the Nassau County Controller, he conducted a rather extensive audit of LIPA, and we're doing the same. Later on in the year, as we do another show, I hope to have results of that audit. But I mean, if you figure we pay $22 million a year to LIPA, and we just want to make sure that there aren't any meters in Suffolk County government that we're being charged for by LIPA, and we're being, and we're paying for. So we're doing a real extensive audit. I have auditors going out checking the meters of all over the parks, county offices, county buildings everywhere, and just wherever there's a meter that's on the bill that we're being charged for, we want to make sure that the meter's working and then it's providing service to Suffolk County, and hopefully not somewhere else. So again, and we have a highly technical firm looking at the LIPA charges as well. So hopefully we'll have more to report on that in a future show.
And Joe, you also spoke before in the past about bond ratings and how the county is able to save money. What about refinancing? I think that's one of the things that's come up recently, how the county can maybe refinance to get a better deal on its debt, plus money and more savings in the budget, which leads to savings for the taxpayer.
Yeah, that's always a key, and we've talked about that several times over recent shows. Whenever we have an opportunity to lower our interest expense in the county for our long-term debt, and we borrow, I said in the show before, how often we borrow long-term. Generally, the county borrows in the spring and in the fall, twice a year. We borrow about roughly, give or take, $100 million each time. And that's long-term, that's spread out generally over 18 to 20 to 25 years. We sell bonds in the market to Wall Street and to the financial community across the nation. And we use that long-term money to rebuild or build roads, capital construction projects, whether it's our buildings, whatever. And so as a result, we have outstanding bonds on our books that might be 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and we're paying higher interest rates because they're 10 years ago. They're based on what the economy was and what our numbers were 10 years ago. So now, because the economy is at an extreme low and interest rates are extreme low, we have an opportunity every now and then, and we monitor them on a monthly basis, to refinance and go back and to sell new bonds to lower the interest rate on the old bonds.
Right.
We don't extend the new bonds any longer in terms of their length of time. We keep them the same. And for instance, in this past December, we refinanced $91 million in long-term debt that we identified. By refinancing $91 million, there was about 9 years left on that debt and of those bonds. We saved $6.3 million in interest cost. $3 million of that we're going to be able to use in the 2012 budget, which is a good thing. And then the other $3.5 million will be spread out over the life of the bonds. So And again, as the fiscal watchdog of the county, as the controller, it's my job to monitor this type of debt out there and to ensure that if there's it's no different than refinancing your home mortgage.
Right.
If you have a mortgage that's 6 or
It's
7%,
just bigger numbers.
you want to refinance now down to 3.5% or 4%, and you save a lot of interest costs. So it's the same thing that we do. We monitor for Suffolk County's long-term debt as well.
Yeah, you had spoke also about like last time, like with the county and the town taxes, that the county would borrow while it's waiting for money from the towns and everything to pay off the school districts and everybody else it has to pay. And when you're getting a better interest rate to pay out that money or to loan or to float bonds, it's better for the taxpayer, right?
Oh, absolutely. No question about it.
And another thing, and I have to say this on a rather sad note, your mentor and a good friend, Joe Caputo,
Yes.
passed on recently. He had taught you a lot of the ins and outs of the job.
Yeah,
that
he
you're in
sure
now.
did. I'm glad. Yeah, this show would not be complete without mentioning Joseph R. Caputo, my predecessor, the Suffolk County Controller for 24 years. And I remember I was 24 years old when I first met Joe. It was 1978. And I worked on him on his campaign for county controller. It was his first run. He was presiding officer of the legislature from the Islip area at that time, and he had won overwhelmingly. And after the campaign was over, and I got to know him on a very close basis, I asked him if he would consider me as for one of his deputies. And at 24 years old, I was astounded that he said, "Yes, Joe." He says, "I'd love to have you as a deputy," because there was an opening at that time. And so it was really neat to work side by side with him and monitor the county spending. I'm going back now to 1978 through 82 before I got elected to the assembly. So I was with Joe over
Giving
4
away
years.
your age there, Joe.
I know. I was with Joe for 4 years, and I learned. And Joe Caputo really took the office of controller and made it into an independent fiscal watchdog. And that's where I learned it from. And I knew back then, and thank the Lord, my career came 360 degrees, because I always wanted to be county controller. I always wanted to kind of emulate Joe and the job he did in watching taxpayers' money. And Joe feared no one. It didn't matter what political party you were. It didn't matter who was the county executive. If he saw misspending out there, whether it was by a county department or an agency that the county was funding, he would go after it, and he would identify it, and he didn't really care who he embarrassed or who he publicly, took out on the carpet. And that's the job as a controller. You have to, and he was committed to watching taxpayers' dollars at no expense. And we're going to miss him. Joe died in early January, and he reached the ripe old age of 79, which in a lot of ways is not old in this day and age, but he was a great guy. He's retired now for since '02, so 10 years almost. And again, he taught me a lot. He was a real firebrand, though, and he really established the county. I mean, you realize that the county controller is the only fiscal oversight of spending in Suffolk County, and with a $2.7 billion budget now, it's so important. And right. Joe really set the tone and set the stage. It says, okay, I'm elected by the people. No one can tell us what to do. We don't have to answer to anyone, only the voters. So we have the power. Under the county charter and under state law, we have the authority to audit wherever we want to. We have subpoena power, and on. And we do all the borrowing for the county.
So he basically laid down the instruction booklet.
Exactly. So for 24 years he was there, and we're going to miss him. Every once in a while I would turn to him for advice, especially to a difficult situation. He'd say, "Joey, do the right thing, and you never have to worry about anything after that. And he's do follow your heart." So we're going to miss him. I'm glad you brought that up, Larry.
And our condolences to his family.
Yeah, absolutely.
He
to
was
his wife Claire, who lives in Shoreham, and he's got a great son, Joe. He's got several daughters and a stepson, and a great family.
He will be missed.
Yes.
And as we go and embark on this new year, we have a new county executive.
Yes.
A revamped county legislator, some
Yes.
new, some old.
Yep.
And how do you see things going for Mr. Bellone? His first couple of weeks, I mean,
yeah.
talk about walking into a
I
cyclone
know.
or
He really,
hurricane.
Steve Bellone is going to be, in my opinion, my humble opinion, he's going to be a great county executive. And I really think just by watching him in the first few weeks, he's hitting Suffolk's major problem head on. As I was talking earlier, we're facing at least a minimum of $135 million structural deficit in the budget. I mean, there are things in the budget, that revenues that Steve Levy put in, that the legislature, when they were revamping his budget in 2012, didn't even know of, and they're really coming to light now. The budget Steve Levy gave us in Suffolk County, just for his own political furtherance, if you will, is an absolute horror show. And for instance, we're going to be running out of cash, and in April, and cash to pay the county's bills and to pay the county's payroll. We're going to have to do a special borrowing this year. We anticipate $50 to $60 million in short-term borrowing just to get us through until some money comes down from Albany and some property taxes come in. And don't forget, it's a difficult economy as well.
Right.
But Steve Bellone is meeting this head on. I know that he's formed, in his first week of office, he's formed a budget review committee to really analyze what's the real true deficit in the county's budget between 2011 and 2012. He asked, I think, a half a dozen or so fiscal experts from New York City, from the state, to lend a hand to help us. He asked me to be a part of this committee. He asked the legislature to be a part of the committee. He's reaching out to everything. That's what I like about him. He's reaching out to everybody. And one of his favorite mottos is, "We're all in this together." And it's a welcome breath of fresh air in county government to see the county executive reaching out to the legislature as a partner, reaching out to the controller, the treasurer, the DA as partners, not as adversaries. And that's what's going to make the government work. And you know what? Steve Bellone, as I do, we're not afraid to cross party lines, because you know what? Party politics is fine during the election. But after the election is over, it's working with Republicans and Democrats and conservatives and independents to get the job done for the taxpayer. And I really believe that. And I think that's been a key to my success over the years, is that as a controller, there's no Republican or Democrat or conservative or independent way to audit taxpayers' money. There's only the right way to audit taxpayers' money, and that's to make sure that it's not being misspent. So I'm looking forward to working with Steve Bellone. And his first job, again, is to tackle this, to get a real handle on what really is our budget deficit, because there's so much controversy out there. Steve Levy's still telling everybody his budget is balanced, which I don't know how he can come up with that, but it's far from it. The legislature had to take his budget, which he handed to him back in September, and it was a horror show. It was the worst budget the county has ever seen. And you can ask any county legislator, regardless of what political party they are, what they had to go through to take that budget and to make it into what it is now. And as it is, there's only the budget that they adopted wasn't for the full year that the legislature did, because there was only enough money to fund through June 30th the 700 employees that Levy wanted to lay off. And so they passed the budget. They said, okay, this is a job for the new county executive to weigh in at. He's got to structure the budget and make some difficult, tough financial decisions over the next 4 years. So let's work with him in the first half of 2011 to come up with a budget to see whether you're going to lay off 700 county employees or not. And so there's a lot of work to do, and I'm looking forward to working with Mr. Bellone. And I've met with him several times already, and I think he shows a lot of promise for us.
And Joe, as you've said before on this program and others, that cooperation is absolutely essential in county government. Giving, for instance, your relationship with DA Tom Spoda. How you've had to cooperate with him and audits, and he's cooperated with you, and you worked back and forth. Angie Caputo, the treasurer, going back and forth with her, and again, Bill Lindsay, the county legislator, you've done a lot of work with before in the past.
Right.
And so it's got to be a breath of fresh air to have somebody come in and say, look, we're all in this together. We all have to work together. Cooperation is number one. And like you said, you're an independent elected official in Suffolk County. You don't have to answer to anybody. But when it comes to working hand in hand, that's going to save the taxpayers money, which is basically one of your jobs. You're all for it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's so key. I mean, and you know what? That's what voters and the taxpayers of not only Suffolk County, but it seems in the nation, that's what they're looking for. There's so much gridlock in Washington. I mean, they can't get themselves out of a paper bag, it seems, to solve any of the nation's deficits and
I'm not even going to get you started on Albany, Joe.
We don't even want to go. I don't even go there, But it's so critical at our level and a county level to work together and cross party lines and to do the best job that we can for Suffolk taxpayers. I mean, that's all taxpayers expect of us. That's all they ask of us, rather. Just do the best job you can. And work together.
And talking about just slightly about Albany.
Okay.
We'll talk about one of your fellow compadres, Tom DiNapoli.
Yes.
Used to been working with him on other things to try to save money, and he's been helping you through the state.
Yes.
With the county.
Yeah, we have a real good relationship with the state controller, Tom DiNapoli. He was a friend going back when him and I served in the state assembly together back in the 80s and early 90s. And now we're both controllers together. He's the state controller and I'm the county controller. He launched a pet project of which I volunteered Suffolk County first to participate in, and that is to go after any type of pension abuse, if it exists out there. And by pension abuse, what I mean is that if you're retired and you're a retiree from any municipality in the state, and it might be a school district, it might be a village, it might be a town, it might be another county, or it might be it could be any other municipality. And if you are not allowed to work for a second municipality while you're retired and make more than $30,000 a year, that's state law. There has never been a system in Albany designed to act as a check and balance to see if you're an employee who was living and working in Buffalo. Now you retire and you go to work for Suffolk County, and are you making more than $30,000? There's never been that kind of check and balance. So State Controller DiNapoli came up with a program that he asked the state legislature to pass and give him the power to look at everyone's state tax information at the end of the year. Before he did that, I spoke with Tom, and I said, Tom, let's use Suffolk County kind of as a guinea pig, if you will. Let's see if there's anything like any shenanigans going on in Suffolk County government. Are there any employees that are taking advantage and illegally earning more than $30,000 a year, according to state law and the state pension law? So months ago, we forwarded all our payroll records. As we speak, as we tape the show, the state controller is going through them, and he's kind of like comparing them with the state tax information and the pension information to see what we come up with. So
we might have an update on the next program.
Hopefully we'll have an update on the future program.
Well, Joe, we're basically out of time here for Suffolk County Money Watch, letting Suffolk County taxpayers know where their money is going and what exactly is going on in the county. So there's some glimmers of hope at the end of the tunnel with the economy. It looks like it's
just turning around a little bit slowly, but we're getting there.
Right. So hopefully maybe on the next program we'll have some better news. We'll let the public know a little bit more about the audits that are happening.
Good.
And some of the other things that are going to be happening right here in Suffolk County.
Good.
And its finances, which is going to be a critical thing this year.
Yes.
So until next time, I'm Larry Mikorenda for Suffolk County Money Watch. Been with Suffolk County Comptroller Joe Sawicki. We'll catch you right here on Government Access TV. Take care.
This is Joe Sawicki. I'm your Suffolk County Comptroller. If you ever need to reach me, please feel free to do so by dialing 631 in Hopog, 853-5040, or by shooting me an email at the address as you can see.